There's the jet going over now. The well pump kicked on. Is that a crow I hear? The last video I was making, it stopped recording in the middle of it, so that's why it just breaks off. Well, anyway, so that's what happened. All right. I'm not going to try and repeat the story I was doing at the end there. Well, maybe I should, since this is running already. I don't know if it's on the last video. I think it shut off before I got to this point when I was talking. So basically, the story is this. I went to DSHS to apply for food stamps and cash assistance, and I figured, well, I'll just throw the cash assistance in application anyway, just to see. And as I'm in the back in the cubicle with the lady, having the rest of an interview about it, she says, well, without the proper diagnosis approved by, standard care medicine, you're not going to get medical cash assistance. And I was like, oh well. And another lady back there overheard us talking, and the lady I was having the interview with, she says, you could apply for mental health. There's cash for that. She's told me most people that get cash assistance now get it through the mental part, not through physical. I mean, only people who get it through physical is like you go and you're missing a limb or something of, quite extreme and obvious. They'll get their cash assistance. But short of that, you don't. You don't get it for chronic, ongoing, pain or issues or any of that sort of stuff. If you can't visibly see it right away and obviously tell what it is, they're not giving you money for physical problems. But the mental problems, they're giving lots of money away for the mental problems. Apply for the mental. She's like, I'm like, I don't want to, really. And, I don't have mental problems. I have world problems. And so I'll try and wrap it up here. Another lady back there overheard us, talking about it. I said, I don't want to apply for mental. If they don't give it to me for physical, then oh well. The food stamps will be good enough. And she thought that it was, a stigma, like a social stigma, like I didn't want to be known as somebody, who was, on any psych meds or had a psychological diagnosis of that kind. And she stopped and talked to me for a minute. She was like, well, it's nothing to be that concerned about. It's pretty, a normal thing nowadays. She said at least 70% of the people that work in this building have psychological, or she told me, she said they're on the pills. She said are on prescriptions for, psychological things. And I didn't say anything to the effect at the time. I'm like, yeah, I just, I don't want to. The reason I don't want to is because I don't want to go to court and have whatever I might have to say or whatever my side of a story might be nullified by the fact that, you're mental and it's on record here, so we're not going to, think anything you say is valid. That's really kind of where I'm coming from, because I've dealt with the law a lot in my life for bullshit reasons, but that's another story. That's really where I was coming from. She thought it was a social stigma thing and tells me that 70% of the people in that building are on psych meds. And I'm at the DSHS office. And what that tells me is that the people that work in government are all on psych meds. They're all on mind control drugs. They're working in the offices of the government. They're being paid by them. They're being drugged by them. And they're being told what to do by whoever's in charge up at the top of our government. And so they just go along with it, and they're on drugs that make them compliant. And they don't see a problem with anything. Look at me, I make it $40,000-$50,000 a year. My kids are I'm buying a house, and I got a new car. And I can afford all my prescriptions thanks to my government health plan. I mean, 70% of the government is on psych meds. That's mind control drugs. Our military and our police, they're robots. Okay. They're robots. If you join the military, you give up all your rights. You have no rights. You are property. How is a person with no rights, who is basically a slave at that point, how are they going to protect your rights? How can somebody with no rights protect your rights? when the only people that would threaten your rights is your own government, and they're in charge of the people that they've removed those rights from. Obviously, they'll use those people to subdue you should you stand up for your rights, which is what we see going on left and right all around our nation, and the buildups, the underground prisons, all that shit. We have it all here. Nazi Germany ain't got nothing on the USA. And it's just fucking gross shit that people are too stupid to fucking even pay attention to what's going on over their own fucking heads. Ridiculous, isn't that? Okay, so everybody's on mind control drugs who works for the government. Isn't that neato? And I'm sure they won't admit to it because, your medical records are private and we're going to keep this all private. Just like the vote. We got to have a secret vote because you could be killed for who you support in the election. Meanwhile, there's a sign in the yard of everybody's house that gives a shit about the vote, telling who they're for. But we still have in place this idea that we got to keep the vote secret ballots so that everybody feels secure in voting for who they really want to vote for. That's not why it's there. It's there to make sure the vote can be stolen by the people counting the votes. Oh, it's all secret. Nobody can go around and ask each individual and get an answer about who they voted for, so they could compare it to what the outcome of the election is. Having a ballot secret simply means it can be stolen. If the vote was completely above board, if you wanted to vote, you had to declare who you were voting for, and you put your name with it on record on a website online that's completely accessible without any login by anybody. Anybody can check it. They could literally count the numbers of people, count the votes, and see who voted for who and determine the outcome of the election in an honest way. We have that technology, but because it has to be secret, voting equals consent. When you vote, you're consenting to what the outcome of the election is. The outcome of the election is kept secret so that it can be stolen. Wake up.